So before we dive into all of this stuff, with websites, first let's just keep in mind two of the main things whenever you have a website. So there's two big things for contractors to keep in mind. So the first one is that your website should be your number one sales tool. So whenever someone's coming onto their website, there's various ways that you can, various tactics that you can use to convince your audience, your prospect, to want to buy from you. And just one of the ways that we're going to be going over is personalization. And then the second big thing is that your website is a reflection of your business. So for instance, for our website, without knowing much else about what we do or what we're doing, as soon as you land on the website, we do, without even knowing all the services that we provide, you can tell we're some kind of marketing company that helps contractors grow. And then, here at the bottom, it talks about the websites and the contractors and the leads generated. So right away, it's very simple. You understand kind of like what we do. So it doesn't have to be flashy. It doesn't have to be like, it's very simple, and direct. And that's another thing that you want to keep in mind. But so number one sales tool and website as a reflection of your business. And remember this part about your website being a reflection of your business, because we're going to come back to it later. Before diving into the rest of it too, I'm going to kind of break down each of these things like step by step, so we're to know and make sure that we're all on the same page. So what does it mean to personalize your website? Essentially, it's to create an experience for the individual customer, like you're talking directly to him or her. So it's, if someone's coming on their website, you want them to feel like you're speaking to them and like you're having a conversation with them, because the more specific you are with them, the better and the easier that they're going to feel like that you're a good fit for what they are wanting and looking for. So the way I kind of think about this is, whenever you think of Peter Parker in the most recent Avengers, you do know his name, but it's more like you understand who his character is. So if you've seen any of the recent Avengers, he's younger, he's kind of insecure, he's goofy, he's funny, he's like intimidated by Tony Stark. And so it's like you understand all these different parts about him, and like you understand like his desire to want to do good and to be better and to be like Tony and things like that. So it's similarly, whenever someone's coming onto your website, even though you don't know their name, you should know what kind of character that they are, what kind of person that they are, what their likes are, their likes, their dislikes, that kind of thing. So kind of just keep in mind this idea of your customer being this portrait or a character or a buyer's persona, which is what we're going to get to in a little bit. Why is it important to personalize your website? So going right into it, it helps your customers connect with your business, it builds trust with your prospects, and it creates this local feeling. So think about how, like, you want, as soon as someone comes on your website or hears your business, you want them to have an idea of who you are. Like, you want them to have a kind of feeling or connotation about your business and where they are, where you stand with them in the community. So just a very kind of like brief example, if you think of like Target versus Walmart, you know that you're going to have a different experience going with Target than you are with Walmart, because we've all been to both, and it's just a vastly different kind of clientele that goes to each of them. So that's kind of, in a very basic way, how to understand like your brand. And you're trying to get your customers, potential prospects and everything to connect with your business, connect with your brand. And you do that by building trust with them in these various ways, and then creating this local feeling like you're this integral part of their community, Oops, sorry guys. Let's keep it going. So the whole idea is to get your customer to convert. So what is a conversion? Essentially, a conversion is getting someone to take an action on a specific goal. So a conversion can be several different things. Essentially, you're trying to get the customer to go from being aware of your business all the way to taking an action. So conversion can be actually getting the customer to, give the green light on the sale. A conversion can be getting them to download a guide from your website. The conversion can be getting them to download a guide from Facebook. It can be getting them to just fill out the contact form. So it's all about having a specific goal for what you want them to do. And so very briefly, we're going to go over like the marketing sales funnel, which is awareness, interest, decision, and action. So as someone lands on your website, maybe they've never heard of you before, and then that's whenever they come on your website, that's the first time that they're going to be aware of who you are. So you want to make a good impression there, right? And then with various other marketing tactics and stuff, you continue to get them to come down into the funnel so that they're more interested in your business, more wanting to interact with you, and then make a decision and then take action, which is that conversion. So that's the goal here, is what we're trying to do. And so there's various things that you can do on your website to get someone to convert. Lots of times for us, sometimes it's just filling out that contact form, getting them to click that button, things like that to fill out that form. So keep it moving. 3 ways to increase conversion on your website with personalization. So what we're focusing on today is like tiny small things you can do subconsciously to encourage someone to connect with you and trust you, and then in the end want to work with you and then convert. So let's go back to this portrait idea, this Peter Parker character, right? So the first thing that you want to do to try to increase conversion on your website with personalization is to create and talk to your buyer's persona. And the second thing is to reference location. And then the third thing is to use video. And so we're going to dive into each of these now. So this buyer's persona, this very first step is, it's a lot more in depth. And it takes thought and it takes work. You really have to think about who you're talking to, because not only are you creating a buyer's persona, but you're also talking about your ideal client. So before every single website project, me and Logan go over, or we have a kickoff call with the client where we help them dive deeper into their ideal client. And sometimes that's not always who you've been working with. Sometimes it is. If you're comfortable working with the people you've been working with, then maybe that is your ideal client. Or maybe it's not. Maybe you want to be working with some more higher end clients, So it's kind of a mix of who you've been attracting and who you really want to be working with. So you want to ask yourself things about your customer, like how old are they? Are they married? Do they have kids, grandkids? How much money do they make? What do they do in their free time? Do they travel? What do they do outside of work? And then on a different side of things, you want to keep things in mind like what the climate is like in your area. So whenever I say this, I mean literally like the weather, like the seasons and everything with where you live. Because if you live up north in New York, kind of inland, you're not going to be talking about taking day trips to the beach with your kids like someone in Florida might be doing. So then on that kind of same kind of vein, like what are seasonal hobbies? What is your ideal client going to be doing throughout the summer or in the winter time? And then you'll want to touch on those things on your website to make it seem like you're talking directly to them because they do all of these things. And then the last thing to keep in mind is your business's style or brand. So your brand should match your customer. So remember in the beginning I said that the second biggest thing about your website is that it is a reflection of your business. So we're circling back to that right now. So one of the things you should be doing is you're trying to connect with your customer, because whatever you're putting out there and whatever you're portraying is what you're going to attract. That's what builds that connection. Very good. Thank you. And so Jeff, so the question was, so here in the bottom right corner, why should your brand match your customer? So essentially, like I said in the beginning, think of it as you have your business, and then your website reflects the business, and then your website should then be a reflection of your customer, because you're going to attract what you're portraying. So candidly, if your website sucks and it looks like crap, then you're not going to get those high-end ideal clients that you want. You are more likely to attract the clients that are like a little bit cheaper and just aren't on your level or like the level that you want. So another way to think about it is, yeah, so another way to think about it is if you have an outdated website or no website at all, or just kind of something that's thrown up there, then that's where you're going to pull back in, you know? And so if someone does land on your website, why should they trust you to renovate and update their home if you're not willing to put in that effort to update your website? So it's almost like your website is your own personal renovations project. And like just very similarly to how those like prospective clients think, because that's how we think these days. Like if you come on a website and you're like, oh well, that's crap, they don't look like they're like a legit business, is another thing. So if you have an updated modern website, it's going to look like you're a legit business, that you're trying to get these high-end people, like you really are putting in the effort to bring them to work with you.